Since the 5th century BCE, philosophers like Democritus and Canada looked at the physical world and deduced that it must be built from tiny, eternal, and uncuttable spheres. They called them atoms, the bedrock of all matter. But modern physics reveals a reality that looks nothing like a solid sphere. At the subatomic level, matter is a boiling tempest of fluctuating probability fields and erratic interactions, completely devoid of solid boundaries. We didn't arrive at this chaotic picture through a slow, smooth refinement of ancient Greek philosophy. Our understanding of the atom was forged through a series of violent structural resets. Each iteration of the model was systematically destroyed by experimental anomalies that refused to fit the established math. The transition into empirical science happened in the 19th century. English chemist John Dalton took the philosophical idea of the solid sphere and formalized it into a testable framework using the law of multiple proportions. Dalton established a few core axioms. Atoms are unique to their specific elements, they combine in strict, whole number ratios to form compounds, and, most importantly, they remain absolutely indivisible during chemical reactions. For decades, this provided a highly intuitive, comforting picture of reality. But to understand the true nature of matter, that illusion of the indivisible sphere had to be shattered by undeniable mathematical data. By the late 19th century, the scientific community was largely complacent. Atoms were confidently treated as the fundamental, unbreakable building blocks of the universe. Then, English physicist J.J. Thomson began investigating mysterious glowing beams in his laboratory. His work in the late 1890s would initiate the first major crisis in atomic theory. This is the physical glass cathode ray tube Thomson used. It is a vacuum-sealed device that, when supplied with high voltage, fires an unknown beam of energy from one end to the other. Thomson applied electric fields across the tube. The beam bent away from a negative plate and toward a positive one, proving it carried a negative charge. He calculated its mass-to-charge ratio, revealing these particles were thousands of times lighter than a hydrogen atom. The implication ruined Dalton's model. The atom could not be indivisible if it contains smaller, subatomic components. Thomson called these tiny fragments corpuscles, which we now know as electrons. Because atoms are electrically neutral overall, Thomson had to invent an emergency theoretical fix. He proposed the plum pudding model, where these negative electrons were embedded within a diffuse, positively charged sphere to balance the charges. A single anomalous calculation had forced physicists to crack open the atom, redefining matter from a solid block into a composite structure. The next anomaly emerged in 1909, when physicist Ernest Rutherford designed an experiment to probe the interior of Thomson's plum pudding atom using radioactive alpha particles. Rutherford fired a beam of dense, positively charged, high-velocity alpha particles directly at an incredibly thin sheet of gold foil. Based on Thomson's model, the heavy alpha particles should punch straight through the diffuse positive jelly of the gold atoms, with almost zero deflection. While the vast majority of the particles did pass through exactly as expected, a tiny fraction of them ricocheted back at massive, highly obtuse angles. The kinetic shock of this discovery was profound. Rutherford described it as firing a 15-inch naval artillery shell at a piece of tissue paper, only to have it bounce back to hit you. Rutherford looked at the deflection angles and made a strict mathematical deduction. The only physical way to achieve such extreme recoil is if all the causative charge and almost all of the atomic mass are concentrated in an infinitesimally small, ultra-dense center. The plum pudding model died instantly. Rutherford proposed the nuclear atom, a tiny, concentrated positive nucleus surrounded by orbiting electrons. This revealed that the distance between the nucleus and electrons is immense, meaning the atom is overwhelmingly empty space. Rutherford's errant alpha particles proved that the tangible solidity of matter is a complete illusion. The physical universe was suddenly redefined as a vast, empty void, anchored only by impossibly dense atomic cores. But Rutherford's new planetary model contained an immediate, catastrophic flaw when subjected to the established laws of classical physics. According to James Clerk Maxwell's theory of classical electrodynamics, any accelerating charged particle must continuously radiate energy outward in the form of electromagnetic waves. And here lay the theoretical crisis. An electron moving in a circular orbit is constantly accelerating. It should radiate energy continuously, lose velocity, and fatally spiral into the nucleus within a fraction of a second. If classical physics is accurately applied to the Rutherford atom, matter should immediately collapse in on itself. By all established laws, the universe shouldn't exist. Danish physicist Niels Bohr realized that to save the structural integrity of the atom, physicists would have to abandon classical mechanics entirely. Bohr executed a radical mathematical intervention. He took Max Planck's quantum theory, the idea that energy is proportional to frequency, and applied it directly to the electron orbits. Bohr's solution mandated that electrons are locked into rigid, fixed-energy shells, strictly forbidden from radiating energy. He introduced the quantum jump. An electron changes orbit by absorbing or emitting a photon, jumping instantly between states to ensure energy conservation. Quantizing energy served as a desperate mathematical necessity to prevent the theoretical collapse of matter, forever severing the atomic model from classical intuition. Even Bohr's neat planetary orbits were short-lived. By the 1920s, the arrival of wave-particle duality and Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle broke the mechanical rigidity of the Bohr model. Erwin Schrödinger's wave equations proved that it is physically impossible to know both an electron's exact position and its momentum simultaneously. This forced the atom out of fixed circular tracks and into a system of fuzzy, three-dimensional probabilistic clouds. Soon after, the nucleus itself was broken apart into protons and neutrons, which particle accelerators subsequently shattered into even smaller fundamental constituents called quarks. All of these overlapping discoveries coalesced into our modern theoretical paradigm, the Standard Model of particle physics, a masterwork of quantum field theory and gauge theories. This paper by Tom Kibble outlines how the Standard Model maps the complex interactions of fermions and bosons, governed by the strong and weak nuclear forces. It represents the absolute pinnacle of our current understanding of matter. Over the course of a single century, unrelenting experimental data forced the atomic model to abandon physical certainty entirely, replacing solid particles with interacting probability fields. Humanity managed to map the invisible subatomic architecture of the universe entirely by analyzing the anomalies that occurred when we shot energy and particles at it. Tracing this journey from philosophical bedrock to quantum reality reveals a distinct pattern. At each historical step, a beautifully intuitive model was violently dismantled by undeniable experimental mathematics that refused to be ignored. Today, the Standard Model stands as the most rigorously verified theory in the history of physics, a triumph capped by the discovery of the Higgs particle at CERN in 2012. But despite its staggering success, physicists know the model is incomplete. As Kibble notes in his historical account, the theory accurately describes the empirical data, but there remain a few tiny niggling discrepancies. That is why we continue to build massive modern particle accelerators. We are actively hunting for the data that doesn't fit the equations. The evolution of atomic theory isn't finished. Science is simply waiting for the next errant data point to break the universe all over again.